It's spring in the Everglades. It is a wonderful time of year, for it is the wet season, which means that water is abundant and all flora and fauna are in full bloom. At this time of year, the Everglades, located in the southernmost part of Florida, can best be described as a shallow 40,000 square mile lake stretching from Lake Okeechobee in the north and flowing southwards towards the Gulf of Mexico in the southwest and the Atlantic Ocean in the southeast. Looking due east, the border of the Everglades is a ridge of limestone covered with lime trees and cabbage palms. Looking due west, the western border is marked by a thick forest of cypress trees. Southwards, the Everglades are characterized by a mangrove forest, the only type of tree suitable to grow in salty ocean water. Due to its proximity to the equator, the Everglades have no distinct seasons, but rather alternate between the current wet season from December to May and the dry season, which runs from June to November. During the dry season, wildfires ravage the Everglades each year, and the landscape takes on the look of a desiccated and barren environment. Predictably, the Everglades receive the majority of their 60-inch annual rainfall during the wet season. The Everglades remain flooded almost year-round due in part to its base, a basin of limestone bedrock, which this alligator is resting on, sloping gently from Lake Okeechobee southwards to Florida Bay. There occurs a unique interaction between the groundwater, which is passed through porous limestone bedrock, and the surface water, resulting in high pH levels and calcium concentrations. The unique composition of this water mixture has a significant impact on phosphorus levels in the Everglades. The high pH and calcium levels have rendered the Everglades oligotrophic, meaning low in plant nutrients, including low concentrations of phosphorus. These unique characteristics have led to the Everglades' unique array of plant species, consisting of wet prairies, open water sloughs dotted with tree islands, and sawgrass, all of which can live in low phosphorus conditions. Despite the sheer enormity and diversity of the Everglades ecosystem, the one key plant that can be found throughout these vast wetlands is sawgrass. The name of this ubiquitous plant is misleading, because sawgrass actually isn't a type of grass at all. It's a type of sedge, which thrives in wet areas, unlike other plants, which were drowned in such a watery environment. Sawgrass is capable of surviving the Everglades' harsh wildfires during the dry season and can grow well at low nutrient conditions. The ubiquity of sawgrass during the wet season also signals the presence of an herbivore whose diet depends largely upon this plant, the white-tailed deer. A species of deer found throughout the United States and southern Canada. During the wet season, the deer are most abundant in the southern and subtropical areas of the United States, and subsequently migrate northwards to escape the searing heat of the dry season. The deer are currently in the process of molting, in order to shed their thicker winter coat in favor of a shorter, thinner summer coat. It is also the time of year when fawns can be seen with their mothers, grazing on the sawgrass and other foliage plentiful during the wet season. Adult white-tailed deer are mostly brown, with a white underside and a black or white tail tipped with black. Fawns have a reddish-brown coat with white dorsal spots that disappear around 3 to 4 months of age. Male fawns have small bumps on their heads during their first year of life, from which antlers will grow as they continue to mature. Within the Everglades, small groups of deer occupy a well-defined home range, but are not territorial. During certain times of the year when food is limited, like during a particularly dry summer, the deer will defend bedding sites and food sources. These deer have migrated from the northern United States and Canada to spend their winter and spring in the Everglades, and many will migrate northwards to escape the Everglades dry season. White-tailed deer are hunted by a few predators, the most prominent of which is the Florida panther. This beautiful cat species was saved from extinction a few years ago. However, due to the scarcity of Florida panthers in the Everglades, the deer population grows exponentially each year. However, not all species are as safe as the white-tailed deer are from predation. Moving southwards towards the Gulf of Mexico, the beaches of Florida are where many a turtle will lay her eggs this spring. Loggerhead turtles are a prevalent turtle species in Florida and have recently become victims to an unlikely predator, the red imported fire ant. Fire ants are known for their fierce bites, which can create red bumps and scarring in animals as big as deer. Today, many loggerhead turtle hatchlings should be beginning their lives upon the beaches of the Everglades. However, the fire ants pose a formidable challenge to these young turtles. Awakened by the disturbances in the sand as the mother loggerhead turtles lay their eggs, the ants immediately begin tunneling underneath the turtles' nets and lie in wait until the turtles begin to hatch. The ants are prepared for the turtle eggs' arrival because their feeding time coincides with the loggerhead turtles' hatching season. As the turtles begin cracking open their shells using their mouths and feet, the fire ants begin to invade. Many turtles never see the light of day as the ants crawl in through openings in their shells, stinging each hatchling to death. Due to the sudden and aggressive attack, as few as 33% of hatchling turtles will survive long enough to break out of their shells. The hatchlings that are able to make it out of their shells begin to crawl towards the ocean, but many are engulfed by the fire ants in a matter of minutes. The fire ants then begin the slow, laborious process of consuming the loggerhead turtle hatchlings. For the fire ants, which can be easily killed by a multiplicity of predators, a turtle hatchling presents an easy victim. Each year, the beaches along the coast of the Everglades, which are infested with fire ants, are the places where up to 70% of hatchlings fall prey to these tiny predators. However, if a hatchling is able to miraculously survive the fire ants' attacks, it will most likely be blinded by the ants' stings and be severely wounded on its head and flippers. Fire ants pose a severe threat to the loggerhead turtle population of the Everglades. A century ago, the Everglades were considered a wasteland that needed to be drained and made into a viable farmland. Subsequently, 400 miles of canals, levees, and dams were installed to supposedly manage South Florida's wetlands. Today, however, the devastating results of this project can be seen in the overdrainage and irreversible soil loss existent within the Everglades today. However, there is hope. In 2000, the U.S. government approved a $7.8 billion restoration project, largest of its kind in American history, to restore the Everglades to its former state, entitled the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. A few of the key goals are to balance the human and natural system needs for water and prevent encroachment upon the wetlands by companies or other individuals seeking to make a profit. Additionally, restoration efforts are also making efforts to curb excessive amounts of phosphorus, which have entered the Everglades due to pollution, and return phosphorus levels to their lower states. It is these types of tangible and definitive efforts by activists today that will ensure that the beauty of the Everglades will be preserved for generations to come.